Canada's latest GDP numbers just dropped, and on paper, they look great. But here's what's funky. The growth everyone is celebrating might actually be a warning sign. Because when you dig into the details, the story changes. Instead of a strong economy, we may be looking at a slowdown hiding behind a technical illusion. I'm Pierre Shields, your host of North of MAGA. Let's break down what the numbers really mean. What happened? Economists expected modest growth, but the headline number came in far higher than forecasted. Media outlets immediately jumped on it. Canada avoids recession, surprising strength, better than expected. But the experts reviewing the full data set found something entirely different. And according to the data discussed, the headline number isn't what people think it is. Why the GDP spike is misleading. Yes, GDP went up, but it didn't rise because Canadians spent more, businesses invested more, or exports surged. It rose because imports collapsed. Yeah, collapsed. And when imports drop sharply, the math makes GDP go up, even if the domestic economy is weakening. That's a technical effect, not real strength. In other words, we bought less from the world, which made it look like Canada produced more. That's not growth. That's a warning sign. Domestic demand is slowing. Inside the numbers, domestic demand, the stuff Canadians actually do and buy, fell. That includes consumer spending, business purchases, and some categories of investment. This matches what economists are warning about. Canadians are tightening their belts while businesses get cautious. And a slowdown in domestic demand is far more meaningful than a flashy headline GDP number. Red flags from the job market. One of the biggest concerns, the job market. A key employment survey, the one based on business payrolls, not household questionnaires, showed a major job decline, contradicting earlier, more optimistic numbers. Economists say this business-based data set often tells the truer story. If job losses continue, that signals future weakness in spending, housing, government revenue, and consumer confidence. The economy feels soft under the surface. Housing and government spending, the only bright spots. There were two areas that showed strength: residential construction and government capital investment. This lines up with recent policy pushes, federal and provincial housing programs, lower mortgage rates, and large government projects rolling out. But economists warn these gains are fragile. Population growth is slowing, some areas are oversupplied, and housing can turn quickly when borrowing costs shift. So yes, these sectors help, but they're not enough to offset weak consumer and business spending. What it means for the Bank of Canada. Will the Bank of Canada cut again? Economists say not yet. The GDP number's too noisy. Job data is conflicting. Households are cautious but not collapsing. The bank likely wants more clarity before moving. Cuts are still possible, but probably not until 2026 unless the economy shows unmistakable weakness. Real impact on Canadians. Here's what this means in real life. Groceries aren't getting cheaper. Households remain stretched. Businesses are delaying expansion, and job growth is uneven. Consumers are saving more and spending less. Canada avoided a technical recession, but not the underlying hardship Canadians feel every day. GDP doesn't measure the stress families are under. It doesn't capture the cost of living, housing pressure, or uncertainty in the job market. Takeaway. The headline number says one thing. The underlying data says something completely different. Canada isn't collapsing, but it's not booming either. We're drifting sideways, and unless something fundamental changes, exports, investments, productivity, this growth won't be sustainable. If you want more clear, easy to understand breakdowns of Canada's economy without the spin, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Do you think Canada is actually recovering, or are we headed for trouble in 2026? Your comments shape future videos, and I read every one. I've also got some new merchandise out. I'm trying to put stuff out every day. I'm listening to your recommendations and your ideas and so on. This has been Pierre Shields, your host of North of MAGA. Go play outside.